You arrived in the 5th grade.
In the 5th grade.
And what was on the campus at that
The
time?
campus was just Gibbons, Mary Militia, Montrose, and Economy Hall, where the sisters cooked and did the laundry. And our classes were on the first floor, on both sides of the Pope Stair, this Pope Stairs we talked about. And then after the 8th grade, we all moved right into high school. Then we moved up to the 2nd floor. And that was the time in high school that they built LeClaire. That unraveled the watch that I told you about. And we loved LeClaire. It was thrilling to see that auditorium. But the gym and the swimming pool and the auditorium were things that we never forgot. And especially graduating from LeClaire was a big plus. The 8th grade graduation was on the 4th floor of Gibbons building, right on that little elevated platform, which was but we were in Mary Militia for years. That was all classrooms, two big chemistry labs, one on the 1st floor and one in the basement, and classroom and offices. I think the girls must have slept upstairs. By the way, there was a smoker downstairs. I don't think my crowd went into that either. I remember one tennis court was where Doyle Hall is now.
Yes.
And I could play with that. I played out there, played tennis. But then later on, they put tennis courts down where the hockey fields are now. Because I could remember playing tennis when I was a young sister. And we had a long, big habit, had to pin it up so you wouldn't break your neck while you were playing tennis. Sister Paula and I, yes, she was her feast day. I walked a lot, as well as played tennis. And I watched Doyle go up. We walked down there all the time and watched it go up. I don't remember that quite as much about Fourier, but I sure remember Doyle. And it was so nice to see the college expanding. I've had wonderful friends. We had 4 of us were friends through high school and then college. Most of us went right from the high school into the college. Of course, we all majored in different things. I went into chemistry and nobody else did in my group. But we had such happy times together.
And when I came, I was entering the 4th year high, Sister Frances' class, and my sister Irene was entering the 3rd grade, so we had quite a span. And I think there were 7 Valmers that finished high school, but 6 Conkles finished college. And in her book, as I said, Miss Philbin called us the 6 fabulous Conkle girls. I cling to that phrase because I found it highly complimentary.
And you're the oldest.
What?
You're the oldest.
I'm the first.
The first, I'm sorry.
I don't mind the word old. I am an old girl.
I'm sorry. I meant the first.
in more ways than one.
There were just 3 of us. Two followed me, 2 lovely girls, and they both became chem majors, which is kind of a nice thing to think about.
Yeah.
I majored English, but I took as much of Miss Morrissey, as we called her, Dr. Morrissey, as we possibly could because she was a superb teacher and knew her material.
Knowledgeable.
Oh, and could convey it, not threatening. I would say she surpassed any sister I ever had as a teacher. I don't want to sound like a rebel and cause a revolution, but she was a superb teacher. Our theology and some philosophy classes, we had a Jesuit coming over from, and we had the very famous, don't laugh, Father Justin Ooghe. O-O-O-G-H-E. Oogie, oogie, tee-hee-hee. But we never did that in front of him, you know.
Good.
He was a Belgian Jesuit. magnificent, wasn't he?
Couldn't stand him.
We're
Maybe you ought to delete
we're
that.
very different. Is this
Sorry
coming
about
through?
that.
It's coming through.
Oh, I thought he was
She's like-
great. I loved philosophy.
She's actually, I know, I didn't like
Majored
philosophy.
English.
Didn't
Right.
like philosophy at all. I don't know whether that had anything to do with my background or not, but I was just thinking
You
too.
were science, Mary Agnes.
I know.
I think that made the difference.
It might have made the
I
difference.
think so. I was humanities.
But I was a chem major, and I had 4 years of chemistry. I had a good teacher, Denise, and I had an excellent physics and math teacher, who was Sister Cordia, out of somebody I loved very much. But I took other things like French, just because I liked it.
I was superbly happy here. I was a good student. You don't mind my saying it, do you?
No?
And always on the honor roll. And let me tell you one story. May I? Am I
Please.
talking too
No,
much?
no, no. Go.
All right. I was in the 4th year high, and Sister Philemon, the famous Mother Philemon, came in to read reports. And there might have been about 15 girls in the class, and you stood up, and the report was this long. And at the bottom, it would say Rankin class. And then you were either first, so... Well, I usually tied with a girl whose name was Catherine Kenny. I was Genevieve Conkle, tied with her, but when the honor roll was posted in the corridor, Kenny, alphabetically, preceded Conkle. I said to Sister Alma, who was then teaching 4th year high chemistry, the famous Sister Alma, I said, you know, I'm never going to be first. I said, I'm tied with Kenny, but Kenny precedes me alphabetically. She said, oh, Genevieve, we'll take care of that. The next report, in chemistry, I got A double plus. Kenny got only A plus. Mother Philemon says to me, Genevieve, what does that mean? Well, she scared me to death. Everybody was scared.
She good.
I said, I guess I knew my lesson. But that was the one time I was first. K-U-N-K-E-L preceded K-E-N.
There were only 4 of us who majored in chemistry when I was there. We went through the 4 years together. In the beginning, you had more people, but then most of them dropped out. Chemistry got too much for them. But I loved it. I loved it always. So that it was nice that I could teach it later on in my life.
In fact, I don't know whether you had a minor in education, Mary Agnes, but I did.
No,
And I did my practice
I didn't take
teaching.
any education courses because I was going to be a missionary. The Lord changed my mind. Never took an education course till later on.
Well, I did. I minored in education
Yeah,
because
but
I knew I
most
was going to teach.
That's
I
all.
never thought of the convent.
2 girls only.
Never thought of the convent until my last few months in the senior year of college, and I did not want it. I don't mind if that goes on record, but I would like to say this. I would do it all over again. I've had a wonderful life. And don't forget, a large portion of the faculty were sisters. Was sisters. I'm watching my grammar.
When I went when I went in at 42, it was almost 100% sisters. We only had 2 lay people, Dr. Morrissey and Miss Kane, who was a gym teacher. The rest of the entire faculty were sisters. That was in 42 when I came to the college after being in high school for a while. And I can remember the long lines and the long habit we had on. You remember that? Have you seen the pictures of the big habit? Yes, with those long lines that we walked in procession. We did a lot of processing. Why did we do so much processing?
We used to walk over to the cemetery behind the coffin in procession. No, we used to say evening prayer sometimes.
I remember very fondly the lantern chain, the serenading of the seniors, maybe the weekend before we graduated, and the underclassmen would come. We stood on the balcony of what do you call it now? College Hall. We called it College Hall.
Mary Militia.
Mary Militia, right? And we stood up on that balcony, and the underclassmen serenaded us with lanterns, the Japanese lanterns, and it was. But then they stopped that after a while. Were you serenaded?
Yes, we were.
It's one of my favorite memories.
Oh, by the way, sing song. We won, my class won twice, sophomore and senior year. That was so beautiful. Sing song was a big thing in that day. I don't remember when they stopped. When did they stop? Do you know?
I don't know, but we were the first class in our senior year to take it to LeClaire Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And they paid admission, so it became a source of funding. Luckily, we had Jane Roddy in my class, who was gifted musically. She could compose it, because you had to have your own musical composition. See, prior to that, you could take a song and put your words to it. But NCAP stopped that.
I've loved my years, and I've loved every job I've had except one. That was making money for the college. I was director of planned giving for 9 years. I was making money. That was the hardest job I ever had.
Warren Huckster.
That was the hardest job I ever. But I love
I
it.
immediately went to Boston and taught high school girls at the famous Mission Church High School, and I was so privileged to be there. And when I was in my second year there, the Archdiocese went into debating and oratory. And Sister said to me, Sister Nicholas, I used to be Nicholas, Sister Nicholas, you'll do the debating. Yes, sister. May God reward you, sister. No preparation, personality, and I think Mary Agnes and Kathleen will agree with. We what do I say? Progress through personality.
Never heard that one before, but it sounds good.
That's one of my cant phrases. Oh, I have many memories, and every one of them is happy. It was a wonderful life, and it's been a wonderful life.
I think my memories are all pleasant
Yes.
and happiness.
Me too.
Grade school,
Me
high
too.
school, college.
Mhm.
I loved I loved the teachers, the sisters. I loved the courses. I loved the ambiance. That's a nice word for. I loved everything about it. I remember having a very, very happy childhood and girlhood.
It's been a wonderful life.
Any last words that you would like to say?
Yeah, I'd like to say I'd do it all over. It's been, as you say, it's been a great life. Mm-hmm.
A happy life, a wonderful life.
That was very, very good. Thank you.
Amen.